Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Dickie and Donny Show presented by Business on Purpose. My name is Dickie, one of your co-hosts, also here with Donny. And if you're like us, this time of year brings a lot of cold, cold nights, and it's just nice to have a nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And if your budget and your finances are out of whack, it's probably screaming at you like a teapot. Nailed it.
Great.
Now, if you don't know, Donnie and I have started a new tradition. We spent at least a couple minutes thinking about how to do this. He gave me a word 4 minutes ago and said, teapot, use that in the intro. And our poor editor, Devin, is just exhausted by our antics.
I have a new idea that I've been thinking about since you started saying that. We give the word in the intro, and then the first person to comment on the YouTube video what they think the special word was gets 1 free hour of coaching.
That's too valuable. I don't know if
But that just like if I'm doing the intro and my word is teapot, I'm gonna throw a lot of fake words in there that they think like, oh, I bet Dickie told him to say rhombus. Nope, my word was teapot. I just threw rhombus in there for fun. So what do we give them then? Do they get a Dickie and Donny mug? We'll ship you a Dickie and Donny mug.
yeah, that's it. Dickie and
We'll
Donnie
ship you a
mug
Dickie and Donny mug with a Dickie and Donny
with
sticker.
your
The first
teapot.
person to comment on it. So
What are
start
you
right.
thankful for today? Coming into Christmas season, like,
Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna read. I'll tell you this in a second. I'm gonna text. We're gonna start right now. I'm gonna text you a word. You're gonna redo the intro,
all right, I'm
and
ready to
Devin's
go.
gonna include all this. You're gonna
How many
redo the
times are we
intro.
going to run these intros? We're almost season three. We're 2 episodes away from season three.
We still do the intro every time.
Yeah, sure. It's just like we do it twice now.
No, we're only gonna do it once from now on. This is the rule.
Okay. All right. We did it
Um,
twice last week too.
yes.
But the challenge is you've still got to make an authentic intro
Yeah,
that
it's still got to be an
flows
intro
well.
with that word,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, right.
So, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hey y'all, welcome to another fantastic, wonderfully surprising episode of the Dickie and Donny Show.
Mm.
Here with my co-host Donnie. My name is Dickie, hosted by Business on Purpose. There's a couple of things this time of year that I absolutely love to eat.
Mm.
I love a good honey baked ham.
Ooh,
Not really.
every time.
I love a good cappuccino flat cookie. I love a good snickerdoodle cookie. I love all but like the right cookies this time of year, and I'm expecting to put on about 5 pounds. So if you're here, we're here to help you lose the weight of the money you're spending in your business and get your profit back. So we may be
That's
putting
right.
weight on this Christmas, but we're also going to take some weight out of that PNL to get you right side up.
Ooh, that is good. So, comment what word in there you think I may have SMS text message Dickie. So that's great. Yeah. I don't know, Dickie. I mean, at the time of filming this, oh, and it's a bummer because I had my Christmas sports coat I was going to wear for this and I
Ah,
didn't. But it's December 22nd as far as where this might even come out in the new year. I actually think it's going to be close.
okay. Probably is New Year.
It
Yeah.
might be well, because New Year's Day is on a Thursday, so this might come out the second. I don't know, but it's December 22nd, so we're a couple days before Christmas. And I have been on a string. I do this with all my clients at the end of the year, where we go through and create an annual budget. Now, when I started coaching, I was very intimidated by this of like, how am I going to help someone? Like, because I got a budget of this guy makes 650 grand a year and he spends all of it. So his budget is 600 or whatever. And then I got this guy who's making 50 million and well, he's got a budget of 2.5 million a month. And you're like, wow, those are very different. How do we diagnose that? And I love the way that we do it at Business on Purpose and I actually want to share that today. So if you're out there wanting to do an annual budget or don't know how to begin setting up an annual budget and you have generally a year's worth of data in a profit and loss statement, that's all you need. It's
Donnie,
literally all
I've
you
got
need.
I've got a question about a budget. Why did it bring a ladder?
I don't know. Why did it bring a
Why
ladder?
did the budget bring a ladder? Because the expenses kept going through the roof.
Hmm. That is so good.
It's so bad.
No, it's so good. My response is out of like, that is so good.
You had no idea where this was going
No,
with the
I was
ladder.
like a ladder. I'm like sitting here
A
like, what
ladder,
financial term do I not know called a
dude,
ladder?
it's a ladder, bro. That's all it is. It's a treasury bills ladder. That's what you
Really?
do.
Really?
No.
My P&L has some matter baby in it.
Matter, baby.
Yeah.
What's the matter, baby?
Nothing.
Dude, people are so hungover on January 2nd and January 1st. Listen to this. They're like, these guys are absolute morons.
The
We should
best.
listen again.
We've had two intros, both fine, with unique twists. We are the best hangover podcast you've never heard of.
That's
So,
right. Best you've never heard of.
um,
So back to P&Ls, back to
okay.
budgets. Every
Yeah.
every December you're doing
So
it.
I'll start with this because I don't want to assume anything of our listeners. A profit and loss statement is exactly that. It's going to put down, typically run through QuickBooks, but you could have, I know there are a couple others. I have a couple that don't use QuickBooks, but it's going to have all the revenue you made in a year, which we've talked about this before. We call that total revenue, all the revenue you made in a year. It will have above the line expenses, which are typically above the line of cost of goods, which would be goods that are directly related to the service or act that you perform. So if you're a builder, that would be your materials, right? You don't build that house, you don't use that roofing material. So that roofing material is a cost of goods. That is something that does not come out of your bottom line, comes out up top before we set your real revenue. So there's your cost of goods, which based on your industry, that's going to change. That ranges all the way from 20% up to almost 90, depending on the industry or whatever that would be. I work with some electricians, they're down close to 20. I work with some very high end custom builders, they're up close to 90. So there's all these ranges. Some are at 60, some are at 50, whatever it might be. But it's your cost of goods. That will give you a next number, which would be your, I'm trying to think of even what the P&L calls it. Is that your net
Gross
revenue?
profit is what the P&L
Gross profit, that which
yeah.
we call your real revenue, because you're never taxed on your cost of goods. So we take that out of the total, and that gives you your real revenue. So you're just the middleman for that money of the cost of goods. You get the money from the client, you pay the roofer. You get the money from the client, you pay the supplier. You're the middleman. So we have your real revenue. And then it'll have a list of every expense you've made this year categorized in anywhere from 10 to 100 line items, depending on your cost codes, right?
Mhm.
And by the way, it's valuable to check your P&L repetitively because without fail, when I start meeting with a business owner and I'm like, hey, send me a couple years worth of P&Ls and we review them in one of our first coaching sessions, I don't know about you, Dickie. Almost every time I'm like, I hear the like, I don't know what that is. I got to check on that. Man, that shocks me that that's that
I got
high.
to call Stan. I think Stan's got that in his
Dude,
files. Let me have
Stan is
Stan
not the
send
man. We have found out Stan is not the man, right? But
Stan.
yeah, so you should be looking at these repetitively just to make sure things are getting filed in the right spot. Does it change that bottom number? No. 10 grand out of line item A, 10 grand out of uniforms, and 10 grand out of utilities. Or it might be in the wrong spot, but it's still 10 grand. So we just want to make sure we're filing them correctly for other reasons. So when you
So let
pull
me
that,
get this straight. Your P&L, your top line is all the money, all the checks you got coming in. That's your
the whole
gross
thing,
revenue.
the whole
You
thing.
pull out your cost of product, cost of goods, cost of sales, whatever it takes you to make or do what you do, which gives you a gross profit
Yep.
or a real revenue. Then you pull all of your accounts. We call those the chart of accounts. So we've got
Yep.
all these different line items that are going to pull out salaries, wages, taxes, trucks,
That's
tools,
right.
toys, vacations, all your stuff you're not supposed to run through your business, right? Then you get a net profit, right? The
Yep.
final number that everybody worships. What's the net on your total? Got it.
Yeah, and I was just watching Christmas Vacation, right?
Yes.
Which is has to be an all-time movie.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
the amount of quotable moments in that movie is ridiculous, right? But even in the end, he gets the right. Clark gets the Jello of the Month club, and then cousin Eddie goes and steals the owner and brings him there. And he said, "What worry is it to have a healthy bottom line when you hurt real people in the process, right?"
Mm.
And you're like, that healthy bottom line he's talking about is that bottom line on the P&L, which says, "Man, I didn't do Christmas bonuses and I saved 500 grand. So now it took me from a $400,000 profit to a $900,000 profit, and that looks way better." So when people say I'm just protecting the bottom line, that's what they mean. And that bottom line, you cannot go to the bank and say, "I want this money in cash," right? Subtle plug to
Right.
subdividing your bank accounts because all of our
Right.
clients that subdivide see that number in cash. Quite amazing.
It's got to
But
be so demoralizing to get to the end of the year, to get your P&L from your accountant and say, congratulations, you made $500,000 in net profit. And then to look at your bank accounts and say,
there's
I'm
none of
not
it
sure
here.
where all that money went because you told me I made all that money. You're the smart, fancy calculators, right? That tell me where the cash went, and I don't see any of that. That's got to be just exhausting.
Yeah, and or to work. your butt off and to get there and have no net profit, which really doesn't change anything because you're not going to have it in cash regardless, is what I've found. So someone with a lower net profit actually is in a better spot because they're not getting taxed on it. So
Mm, yeah, right.
there's all these things. But, anyways, so how do we track this throughout the year? What I'm not advocating for is a system where you look at your budget every week to say, did we spend too much on rent this week? Where are we at with our phone bill this week? I don't think that's what I'm advocating for. I want to make sure we have a generalized number of, okay, if it's going to be $240,000 in expenses all year, we need to bring in 20 grand a month to support expenses, right? 20
Mm,
grand a month, whatever that would be. Or if we're like, man, I'm going to be at $3.6 million worth of expenses this year, which for some big companies, that's very low. Like, I need 3 million a month just to cover expenses. No, 300,000 a month just to cover
mm.
expenses. Okay, well, that's a for some people that's what they make in a whole year, and you need it every month just to turn over your ship to exist the next month. So the way we do that, and I'm going to break down, I've taken an example and I've white labeled it. I took the name of the company off. This is a real example of how we look at this. And I want you to know all I asked for was, could I get your year-to-date P&L? That's all I asked for. And that's pretty easy for him to do. This was the beginning of December. So I got his year-to-date P&L, and you're going to see a couple things on here. And if you're on Spotify, I'll mark it out for you. If you're on YouTube, you should be able to see this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. This is the way our annual budget looks, right? It's nothing fancy. I have some things hidden up here and I can explain that. But all we do is we take this was 2023. This was his annual total revenue, his cost of goods percentage, and his real revenue, right? After cost of goods. And then we just take each of these line items over here, officer salary, salary, wages, retirement expense, payroll tax, and we have the number of how much he spent on that right here. Now, this is where it's so critical to set this year's budget. I then find a percentage of the real revenue. So, for instance, if our real revenue is $1 million and I spent $100,000 on wages, well, wages is 10% of my real revenue, 100,000 to a million. It's 10%. So that means that next year, if I'm going to bring in 1.2, I should expect wages to be 120 because we want them based on that percentage. So that's very easy to calculate in a spreadsheet. You literally, if you look at this, it's this number, 60,000 of officer salary divided by the real revenue number. So I found 2023's percentages. I found 2024's, but I'm going to hide those because for this year, we've done a lot of work. He's went from 75% cost of goods down to 66, which is, you want to talk about the savings there on a $1 million book of business. That 9 grand just made that 9% drop saved him 90 grand on the bottom line like that. No more work, no less expenses, just 90 grand. So to be at about 6 million saved him 360 grand. I'd take 360 grand for no more work.
Yep.
So, anyways, as we pull this up, I'm gonna hide these. These are 2025's numbers, right? And the reason these looks different, he sent me these at the beginning of December. So right now, at the beginning of the December, he was at 5.9 in total revenue. And because it was the beginning of the December, by the end of the year, this has him hopefully getting at 6.3, right? That's just based on the year. These are his numbers. His cost of goods gone down to 66, and his real revenue is looking like it's going to be 2.1. Well, we pulled his P&L, and these are his expenses he has spent in all of this chart of accounts, right? This is every dollar he spent this year, which totals 1.074. 1,074,125 and 89 cents. He has not spent a dime more than that this year. That's every dime their business has spent. So we calculate it, right? There's total expenses, then we subtract the total expenses from the real revenue, and his net profit that year, according to his P&L, is going to be 1,059,000, which is great. But here's these percentages, which are crucial, because I'm going to take this number, the expense line divided by the real revenue to get that percent. And then this is all you do. You look at next year and you say, okay, if I did 6.3 this year, what am I expecting to do next year? And if next year you're looking to do seven, well, just call it 6.5 or trying to think of a double. Say you made 6.5 this year and next year you want to make 13. Well, in theory, our expense lines should double. You would do twice as much gas to do twice as much work. But that's the thing. Your rent probably doesn't double. They don't all grow at the same rate that your revenue grows. So what we want to do is we want to use the same percentage, and he was going from 6.3. He only wants to do 6.5 next year because he's got a lot of additional pieces going on in his business, trying to buy some new business, some buildings. He's trying to buy a couple different things. So he's like, man, I don't want to hit the ground running and just keep growing. I want my team to just exist. It'd be nice to do a little more, whatever. Great. Like we're going to do 6.5. So we
You know
keep the
what
same.
I love about doing this work is that you get the why behind what people do in their business. So not everybody wants to double their revenue. Some people just want to run
Nope.
a good business. Some people
Yep.
want to do new types of business. So we're asking those questions to get to, hey, what do you really want? Are you in an efficiency mode where you want to run a cleaner, more smooth running business? Or are you in growth mode where you're like, hey, I want to hit the ground running. I want to hammer marketing. I want to hammer branding. I want to get more contracts. I'm in growth mode
Yeah.
on revenue. So
And
I
neither
think
are
this,
wrong.
yeah,
Neither are
totally. It's
wrong.
just what your goals
Yeah.
for the year that your money, to me, money is just it's like a little soldier. It's like a little army man every dollar. And I want to put it in place to advance my army. And I never played Risk. I was more of a
Great
Monopoly
game.
guy.
Makes
You ever play
sense.
Monopoly Deal with the card game?
Yeah, I love Monopoly Deal. We were actually at Target yesterday looking for the Harry Potter Monopoly deal for a friend for
I
Christmas
just
gift.
saw that on Amazon. No
Yeah, they don't
kidding.
have it in Target. So
Okay. You might not be able to get it for Christmas, FYI, because that's coming soon. But I imagine, every dollar is like a little
I want to
soldier that's
stop
going to
you
work for
there.
you.
There was
Yes.
judgment behind the statement, and I want you to know we're a relatively prepared people group over here, the Gray household.
Oh,
Don,
I'm definitely not prepared for Christmas.
and
This
I
is
just
no
want you to
judgment here.
know that's why we went in person because we were not going to order it because it may not be here. So we went in person, and they didn't have it, so we're going to do something different. But
Oh, I'm shopping tonight, tomorrow,
no, if I have to give a gift on the
Christmas
26th,
morning.
that gift does not get given. That gift is for next year already because I missed it.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
sorry, I felt attacked, which
Oh,
says more
no,
about
no,
me
no
than it does
attack,
about you.
no
It
attack
says
me.
more
No,
about me than it does about you. So,
I just was like, hey, that ain't coming in time. I was saying like it's coming from Amazon, but it ain't gonna be here. But
I don't know.
my
Those people are
apologies
probably
for
working for
attacking you,
Christmas.
big bear.
Big Bear.
Big bear.
Looks like the Lord's starting to attack me. I mean, that is bright. Whatever's happening up there is bright.
God came to Bluffton before he came to Charlotte. He's on the way.
Now it's
Oh
just a little
man.
less. But I
So
digress, right?
to take an example, yeah. So you're growing. So he wants to grow his his gross revenue marginally, be a little
Yeah.
bit more efficient with his cost of goods, and
Yep.
then now he's got 2.2 million in a real revenue to
Yep.
that's the money he has to run the business.
Which
And
is only 65 grand more than this year. Like it's pretty much the same. So then what we do, right? And if you're looking at, I have a separate line next to the line of the percentages and the payroll or the expense lines for this year. And then what I do is I take next year's projection, I run it on the same cost of goods percentages this year, and I look at his real revenue, which is different, and I look at the same percentage he ran this year for every line item, and I put it on next year's expected real revenue. So it's 2.2. So these numbers are not going to change very much. 2.1 to 2.2, you think percentage wise of a $2 million number, the percentages aren't going to change very much. But then we get these, and these are all based on percentages over here. So it's like, okay, this would be our budget for next year, but we're not done. Now, what we have to do is we literally just go line item by line item. And I talk to the owner. So I'll talk to you, Dickie, and you're like, hey, Dickie, you spent 328,000 on officer salaries this year, which is 15.38%. So this year that has us at 328, which I've already changed these a little bit, but that number grew. And he's like, yeah, no one's getting a raise this year. You're like, awesome. So we'll drop that number back down to exactly what it was this year. We look at next year and we're like, hey, salaries and wages, we have at 19.9. What is that going to do next year? And he's like, hey, I'm actually putting one of my 1099. I'm going to make them a W-2. So you need to add that about 40,000 or whatever it is. And you're like, great. So we bump that 19 to 56, right? And then we have a retirement expense. And we're like, hey, that's at 1.5. He's like, hey, I'm maxing out retirements next year. I've already talked to my CPA. I'm going to do that. Great. So we bump 1,500 to 25,000. Awesome. And then you can see we highlighted it because he's got to reach out and say, what is his max possible to put there? So he might change it. But then we go line item by line item, and some things grew and some things dropped, right? And but that's the beauty of this is he can now see that. And I worked with a client this year that had about 700 grand in their net profit from this year. It's a pretty good year for a home builder to have that. And he goes, "Hey, next year I want to go from 6 million and I actually want to go down to 5 million. I want to do a little less work because I can sense burnout with my people." I was like,
Mm.
"Okay, so what that means is we're going to have to spend less money." And then he also goes and he raises the budget in almost every line. And then while I'm going through it with him, I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, you want to make less money and spend more money." And at the end of the year, he had $46,000 as opposed to 600,000 in net profit. And I was like, "Hey, is this how you want it to look?" And he goes, "That's exactly how I want it to look." I said, "Really?"
Mm.
He goes, "Yes, because I need my people to know that I'm caring for them and I'm okay to have a very minimal year, knowing now that we've done it for years, he's going to actually have a $50,000 bonus in there, like growth. He knows that number is going to be somewhere. But he's like, I would rather support them with greater tech, greater software. I'd rather bring in some additional help. I'd rather do all these things and support
Quick
them."
question. Does he communicate that to them? I think like that to me sounds like it's a really beautiful desire. I would hate for that to get lost along the way and no one get to benefit from that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. He has a vision day scheduled in the beginning of January, and on the agenda of his vision day, subtle plug, write your vision down so those who read it may run. He's got a written vision. A vision day is where we share it with the people so they can read it and run. So he's doing that in January, and he's going to make it abundantly clear to them, "Hey, I know this year was hard. I know I threw a lot at y'all. We did the whole master process roadmap. We installed a whole new set of meetings. They had performance reviews for the first time. I mean, his employees felt like everything just kept coming at him." And he's acknowledging, "Hey, I know this was a really hard year. I need you to continue working hard next year, but here's what I'm going to do for y'all." Like, he's had their comp reviews. They're all getting a little bit of a bump this year. They're getting a new incentive program, and he's gonna like install some software that automates a lot of what they do. And he's
Mm.
going to like share with them explicitly, not maybe the dollars and cents, but hey, I'm putting a lot of money to help make your jobs easier this year. And I want you to know that I'm doing that. Like, that is money directly out of my pocket, but I love you enough to do that. And that's just him as an owner. And
Love
that is
that.
not like a one-off situation when you're like, "Well, that doesn't really happen." It actually happens across my book of business. It happens more than it doesn't, where people are like, "I'm going to take money out of the bottom line to support my people." It's beautiful. It's awesome. And it takes a really hard year sometimes to see that. So, yeah, we look at this example of this P&L. You just put it up next to it, and that'll give you your number. And if you're not happy with that net profit number, one, you should subdivide your bank accounts. Reach out at businessonpurpose.com. We would love to help you. It's not difficult in concept, it's very easy, and man, does it work. And on top of that, if you're not happy with that number, you have two options. If you're not happy with your net profit, you have two options.
What's that? One of them, money
Make
go
more money.
down. Yeah, money go up,
Yeah,
top
money
line,
go up.
money go
Uh,
down on the expenses.
yes, you can either cut expenses or you can raise your revenue, right? Because if your expenses aren't changing, well, I've already put this $1 million into my expense line. You're like, great. Well, then if you make another $1 million, you're going to make all that money because you've already expensed it.
Can I
So
tell
you
you
can
what
either,
my gripe against all these like fancy consultants, McKinsey and Deloitte and all the fancy guys that come in?
the last two calls, you have named names. Like, you are
Oh yeah.
gunning after people right now.
So these people come in and they want to run these killer reports and they've got these slideshows and you pay an ungodly amount of money for their wisdom. There's really only a few levers you pull and you just make sure you pull them the right way. Does this number go higher? And how do we make that number? What's the the leading work that we need to do, the inputs, not the outcomes, to change that number coming in? Or does the money going out need to decrease or to get
Yep.
less in so we can make more money? That's the basics of running a business. And I love our system because it's not it's simple enough that most
Mm.
people can execute it well. And they repeat
Man,
it, they
I
do it
haven't had
right.
anybody that can't execute it well. I haven't had anybody that, due to lack of knowledge or lack of skill set, nobody across every industry I've worked with, I have not had anybody that can't work it well. I think that's a testament to the product that we have. If it's like they're everyday things, but they're compartmentalized in a way that are implementable that actually works. And you see it work very quickly,
Yeah.
very quickly. It's cool
Yeah.
for us too to get to see. And Dickie, I hope you're leveraging this with your people. When we do this, I can look year over year and I coordinate it with their actual bank accounts. And I
Mm.
circle a number from last year to this year. And I'm like, "Do you see how much this grew? You don't think coaching's worth it?" Like,
Mm.
your coaching fee is such a small percentage of how
Mm.
much this actually grew. Oh, and by the way, you're working less hours than you've ever worked. Your team feels more loved than they've ever felt. Your clients love you now and are giving you more referrals than they've ever referred you. And you see this cash number growing almost at an exponential rate. Like, It
Yeah, I'm
it
always
just
amazed.
works.
I remember one of our coaches had a client leave after he had helped them make an extra $130,000 of profit and building our system into their work. And he was like, "Why would you not want to be with us?
Why would you leave now? Like you
Why the
think
heck
that's
would
the
you? Oh my
it?
gosh."
Yeah. We've also had somebody who we built all the dashboards. They finally got clarity and they said, "Hey, your subdivided bank accounts bankrupt my business." To which the coach responded, "Hey, all it did was reveal that you were bankrupt. It had all we did was give you the clarity that you
Yeah,
were running from."
we're just using the data you're giving us.
Yeah, that's right. So there's your annual budget. Now, again, I think setting this every quarter to kind of audit, are we in line with this? Some things, like I got people that pay their rent up front, they're going to pay 95% of that budget line item right up front. So it's not clear cut, but there's so much of a feeling of it where you just look and you're like, does this feel right? I had $40,000 this year. At the end of Q1, I'm at 10,000. Okay, we're a quarter of the way there.
So
We're looking
you're
good.
building this into a review rhythm quarterly. Is that
I
what you're
don't
saying?
know. I actually don't think it should be done more than or I guess twice a year. Like I would
Okay.
recommend it in the middle of the year and I would recommend it at the end of the year when we audit next year's. I don't think it has to be more than that, but I'll say this. I don't think it has to be more than that if you are subdividing your bank accounts and you have repetitive checks on your bank account and your percentages and the percentages you're running. Because ultimately, if you feel like you're attacking your percentages and you're getting in cash what you want to get in cash, who the heck cares what your P&L says? Because you have the cash in hand. So like
Yeah,
it
I like
doesn't
a quarterly
really,
P&L review as long as you've got monthly forecasting that's 12 months
yeah,
out and
they all work
monthly
together.
current
That's right.
cash. I think
That's right.
you got to have two, three, four tools that you go to, and you don't have to spend a ton of time with them, but you've got to have the
Yep.
visibility of money in, money out.
It's just
And
dashboards, right? If I'm driving a car, right, and I don't need to know how the motor works, but I do need to know when the gas gauge gets low, that means something. And I need to know if the oil temperature gets hot, that means something. And if my RPMs get into the red, that means something. So that we just need to be able to read the dashboards for what they're saying. I don't need to know, you as a business owner don't need to know every in and out of the systems here. You don't need
Mhm,
that. What you
good
do
point.
need is you do need to know at what point do I need to start correcting the ship? And when your gas meter gets below a quarter
Man,
tank, I don't know about
I,
you, I'm going to a
I
tank before it's even at a quarter.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to negative zero, but that's me. I mean,
That's a
how many
great like get to know you question. At what point do you fill up your car? That's a
when
great
I'm
get to know you
when
question.
I'm on zero and I know I've already driven the 10 miles past zero. Now, my truck's different now because it's a gas hog and I get like 15 miles a gallon. So now I'm like, if it hits zero, I start freaking out. But with my old car, it was a sedan. I could run that thing for years and not fill up. I appreciate your comment there about business owners needing to know the right things. I'm almost imagining, a business owner that's talking about, the type of piston rings. Is it this? Is it aluminum? Is it steel? Is it this? They get so bogged down in these details, and you're like, we don't care about that. We care about just focus on the right things and make action
Right.
instead of just ruminating and thinking and
That's right.
dwelling. You don't need to. Just you got the number, keep moving.
Yeah.
Don't worry
That's
about
right.
it. Now, can you do a deep dive on engine analysis?
Probably
Sure,
need
you
to
can
once
do
a
that.
year. You probably
Yeah.
need to once a year, but you don't. Thank you for making that. That's why when I say I don't think you need to be looking at this quarterly, that's the type of thing you don't need to be looking at. You do want to monitor your dashboards, but man, I don't need you opening up the hood and YouTubing what does this part of my engine do? Like, you know, the dashboards, if set up correctly, which your coach will do for you, they tell you all the health. And then we also get into that like dirty car shop to tell you, hey, now it's time to go do a deep dive, or hey, all the dashboards are jacked up. Dude, we gotta bring your gloves. I don't know if you do gloves when you work on cars. Bring your
I,
grease pan.
I lose the feel, but I've got some of the mechanics gloves. I've got some of the black, like vinyl gloves. I'll wear those when I do brakes. I'm not a glove guy. I just don't like, I like to feel the metal. I like to touch the,
Ooh, say
yeah.
it, sing it.
Mm,
I like to
yeah, well,
feel the metal.
I like to
Speaking of
feel
that,
the
can you give our
grand.
listeners one metal song to listen to?
Yeah, if you want to feel good about your life, go listen to Panama by Van Halen and come back and thank me later.
I love it. I love it. Well, Dickie, I know I'll see you in 17 minutes on a meeting, but in this sense,
Donnie.
in this atmosphere, I won't see you again this year. So, Dickie, this has been real and this has been fun. And
And it's been really fun.
it has been real fun. We are the best hangover podcast you've never heard of. We're appropriately unprepared. and we're just a good time, and we enjoy doing this. So
Wonderful. Donnie, what a great end to our year. Well done. If you have any questions about business coaching, running a business, not blowing a teapot gasket, and eating good snickerdoodle cookies, we would love to engage with you. You can connect
love
with
to.
us at businessonpurpose.com/healthy. Take our healthy business owner assessment, or you can email us directly. The links are in our bio. Have a great year, and we'll see you in 2026.
Smash that like button. See ya.